Hey guys, this is John here in Los Angeles with the Alpha Channel update for Saturday, July 27th, 2024. And I'm kind of pissed off today, so there is some stuff I want to talk about. Mostly it's this cancellation bullshit. But before we get to that, before I get all upset and angry, I do want to tell you guys about The Legacy of a Mad Scientist and the Legend of Ashley Fox. The Legacy of a Mad Scientist is a story about an inventor here in the future of Los Angeles. And he comes up with some pretty awesome stuff that the government decides they would be better executors of than him. And they decide to execute him and seize his property. It doesn't work out very well for anyone involved. It's quite the dilemma. We've also got a comic book here in the description, Ashley Fox, The Last Valkyrie. So this continues the story from the two audiobooks that you can listen to here on YouTube. That's free as a PDF in the description if you like. Today, in celebration of his new movie, brought to you by Ryan Reynolds, who really has never been anyone except Van Wilder, let's admit it. He's not a character actor. But we are doing Wolverine #1 by Chris Claremont and John Buscema today. I haven't seen the movie yet. I saw a bunch of people have, but I have not. I read this yesterday. This is a good comic. A bunch of pirates involved in human trafficking, where they're basically kidnapping vessels, murdering the men, and then raping the women until they're tired of them. They're operating off of an island in the South China Sea somewhere, and they are doing what they do, and they're about to get a visit from this guy who does what he does. And of course he says it. And here we go. Wolverine by John Buscema. Now at this point, no one knew who he was. I think we get his name as Logan, but other than that, you don't know anything about him. There's no backstory of James Howlett growing up as the favored son of a plantation owner in Canada. That story does not exist at this point. We haven't even gotten Weapon X yet, by Barry Windsor Smith. That's still 10 years down the road. I don't know what year this came out, and this isn't my copy. I don't think I had this first one. I bought this, probably 30 or 40 bucks. It's supposed to be very fine, near mint. I don't give a shit about that anymore. Comics are for reading, not for selling. But Wolverine lays into these guys and does not stop until they're all dead. Now this guy does escape on a boat. I'm trying to remember how he dies. I don't know if I remember what happens. Oh yeah, here we go. This girl hid out on the boat and shoots him in the head. Art is great. The story's good. Wolverine is on his way to actually one of the dead guys here. This is Noburo from the movie, The Wolverine about Mariko. So this is Noburo, the guy he throws off the balcony, telling him that Mariko and the sword are about to be kidnapped or stolen. I believe he's going after Grasscutter, Kusanagi, or the Murasama blade. Maybe it's just a Murasama. I think those were just a brand. But this is a black sword, not unlike Stormbringer, the Elric stories by Michael Moorcock. You guys should read those. Those are incredibly influential in storytelling and modern comics, modern fiction. You should know those stories, because they're the prelude to Excalibur. You should also know the Grail saga. You guys should read all that stuff. But this is Wolverine #1. Now this has nothing to do with what I want to complain about. I know Larry Hama feels like he was canceled. I don't necessarily think that's the case. He's an Asian guy. He benefited from the diversity and inclusion stuff. And he was in Vietnam, so he got in before all that even started. Wildwood Tarot for today. Box and book. And today we have the Two of vessels, the lovers, attraction. I guess pagans were the original furries, when you get right down to it. First people to dress up in animal costumes. Maybe not the first, but I'm sure the Romans did it. Well, the Romans were pagans, right? So storytelling, look, I have my own things about storytelling. I'm doing really good. It's easy for someone, a writer, to say they're writing the best stories of their life. I've always been doing the best writing of my life. I've never been doing not the best writing of my life. That's something that's a little bit different as opposed to an athletic individual who peaks and then falls off. And that's a little bit about what I want to talk about today. My favorite skater, who I think has got to be the best skater probably of all time, is probably the 2 Skater of the Year winner, Chris Cole. He skates for Zero. I really love the Zero story. I love the Jamie Thomas, Chris Cole story. How Chris left the band. He left the skate label. I don't know what you call it. A skate team. He left the team to go skate for someone else and got paid a lot more money. And then came back. And Jamie was wise enough, and Jamie was running his own company, wise enough to let Chris go, and wise enough to bring him back on the team when the time was right. And now Chris is being what they call canceled canceled by a girlfriend or his wife, whatever, who felt she was disrespected in their relationship and is making, and is making a public spectacle about it. And Jamie had to kick Chris off the team a couple weeks ago. July 7th, I believe, was the date, the thing I saw. No crime's been committed. No, charges have been filed. Chris just may have not been the best boyfriend. And for that, he is losing his position that took years to earn. He is Zero. He's still on Fallen. I have a pair of Fallen shoes. I've only been skating since COVID. I did not start skating before COVID. I can barely ollie. I can't do a kickflip. I don't know shit about skating. I am a total noob. And this is the most important, best accomplishment of my life. The books I've written have taken a lot more effort, but this has taken a lot more courage. Every time I get on this board, I'm someone who's going to fall off of it. I do see guys like Joa, he skates, he wears glasses. I see a lot of people skating these days who have bigger physical handicaps than I ever had. But for me to get on this board, I needed 10 years of Kung Fu. And I needed that confidence of 10 years of Kung Fu. The Marine Corps wasn't enough. Being a Marine was not enough. I still valued my ability to draw too much. And I never drew professionally. So this for me is, one of my brother's friends, some of my brothers play guitar, and one of their friends told one of my brothers that they always thought of selling out as like going to work for TV and writing jingles for commercials, that sort of thing. Selling your music out for breakfast cereal or something like that, or doing top 40 in local bars for 20 years in the Midwest. And he said, no, you know what? That's not selling out. What's selling out is getting a trades job and hanging drywall for 20 years and not doing music at all. That's selling out. Thinking your music was so pure that you never shared it with anyone, and now the world's never going to know it. And yeah, maybe you never were Bon Jovi, but you were never Townes Van Zandt either. Townes Van Zandt may not be super famous, but all the musicians know who he is. And that's this kind of thing. How do you get a guy canceled from, it's the same sort of, whenever you're a public figure, everything you say apparently carries a lot of weight. I've said shit on here that should already get me canceled, but I don't have anything to cancel me from. And the other day I was talking about being a hypocrite. I do want to talk about all you anti-white white people who are the problem in society today, being led by the nose by Jews. You are the problem, and the only reason this can happen to this guy is because of you anti-white white people Everyone is in such a hurry to see this happen to this guy or Ed Piskor because he's white. It's the only reason this is happening. He's an accomplished white guy. And he's not just got this, he's got a woodworking shop too that I want to hire him to help me with my rosary blocks if I can ever get my shit together. I've got so many unfinished projects that could make me millions of dollars, it's pathetic. But I can't sell my writing. That became apparent 20 years ago when I was writing for Marvel. They were already doing their anti-white shit. It was obvious in TV. It started before reality television. Reality television was really a way to take a stranglehold and break fictional media. I found out recently they had this other thing called the rural purge, where they purged all the rural shows, all the old westerns. They had such a volume of kit and competent people to work western shows coming out of the 50s and 60s and 70s that regular America you don't really understand how pervasive that stuff was. And they've taken it away from you. They're trying to turn you all into urban mice instead of rural men. And it's pathetic. So it's really is pathetic. And it happened when they started taking media and culture out of your hands. They made it gay. They made being an artist akin to not wanting to do labor. Believe me, it is fucking labor. Writing and drawing is labor. It is not play. You do not feel energized after doing it for a day. You feel fucking exhausted. After a day of writing, I'm about as beat as I am after about 3 or 4 hours of skating or playing hockey. I'm just completely wiped. That's what it takes out of you. That's what it takes out of you, to hold the image in your head and then to communicate it out on paper in the order that you see it so that it flows smoothly like the audience is used to seeing a movie is not easy to do. It's even harder to draw it. It's even harder to do something like this. Like I said, this is what I'm most proud of in my life, is being able to ride a skateboard. So there's a lot of other people who can do it, and there's a lot of other people who can't. There's a lot of people out there, all these white people are cowards who have never accomplished anything, and you see the level of competition and you don't know where to find teamwork. Teamwork comes from sucking it up and being Aaron Cairo or John Hill, even when you know you're not going to fit in. At animation school, I was already this. I was already a martial artist. I was already a Marine Corps veteran. So I had a level of, cool factor that I didn't have coming out of high school. I remember one of the kids told me that I made comic books cool. And, the same thing can be said for martial arts classes. I was a nerd. I was a nerd in high school. And the cool kids didn't have to go to martial arts classes. Martial arts classes were for the nerds who didn't know how to fight and were uncoordinated. And over a long period of time became very coordinated. Usually that happened at some point in high school. You had a bunch of kids becoming black belts. Kids who'd started whatever the local martial arts was for that town. And you didn't have white martial arts. They're often taught by a white guy. My school was Taekwondo. Our little McHenry County, McHenry Township had Flying Dragons Taekwondo. It was actually called Kikido because it was from a specific part of Korea. Other towns had karate, and this was a fallout of the Korean War and Japan, especially the World War II. So you didn't get to things like Kung Fu until you got to a big school or a big city like New York or Los Angeles, where the Chinese people had settled. Chinese people didn't disperse throughout the states as much as Japanese and Korean folks did. So to get to Kung Fu, I had to come here. That's what I had to do. That was always my path. My path was always leading me here. I never wanted to be a martial arts instructor. I never wanted to teach martial arts. A lot of guys who go into those schools, that's what they live for. They live for becoming an instructor. It was never me. I was never going to be a martial arts salesman because I was not there for the right reasons. The right reasons being anything other than violence. You know, Jet Li says there's a lot of reasons. They have an interview with Jet Li where he talks about all the reasons you should do martial arts. Self-defense is like the last one, you know, and that's why I was doing it. I was angry. I'm still angry. I'm really fucking angry. The other day I'd said I'd never been in a street fight. That's not quite true. I had some street fights in high school where I'd only studied Taekwondo and wrestling before I did Marine Corps boxing or Aikido or Kendo, anything like that. I haven't had any street fights as a full-on, accomplished, I feel peak of my form martial artist. And I don't want to. I would fuck somebody up. I have no doubt in my mind. It would not go well. I would either lose it and come up against someone a lot better than me and maybe get hurt, but probably not. We'd probably fight each other to a standstill. Or I'd really hurt someone and end up going to jail. And I don't necessarily want to do that. I don't have a record of picking fights with people, so I'm hoping I can... My two goals for the rest of my life are to, one, not be homeless, and two, not go to jail. And those might be, with my attitude and the way I fucking talk, that may not be my destiny. That may not be my karma. Character is destiny, and I have a lot of fucking anger and a lot of hate. And I hate all you anti-white people who gave away what we won in this country, what we fought for. And I fought for this country. Everyone who's served in the military has fought for this country. We have a volunteer military after Vietnam, and I don't believe that's fair or right. I think we should have mandatory 2-year social service, whether it's in military or medicine, or I don't care if you have to rake leaves in the park. You should be forced to work for your country. Taxes are evil, the way taxes are managed right now, but mandatory service is not. And in terms of canceling, don't give a woman the right to cancel you. Women have been the thin end of the wedge that have destroyed this country and all Western civilization, led by Jews. Simply, it is what it is. Quit calling them Bolsheviks and communists. Just call them Jews. Call them Jews and women and niggers, especially when that's what they are. I don't mind using that word. I don't care. Cancel me. I have nothing to lose. Actually, I do want to end this on a good note. I bought a drafting table today for $20, and it's a $1,200 table. I just got really lucky. I was lucky that it fit in my car. I was lucky I had the money for gas, let alone the money to buy it. So, yeah, I have no problem with America being in a race war in the immediate future. I have no problem with America being in a civil war in the immediate future. I am one of these assholes that, when they said that Southern California had the most hate groups anywhere in the country, I went out and joined all of them. And I'm the most hateful fucker in most of them. Adam Waffin's not a thing. They don't exist. Most Patriot Front guys are way nicer than I am. A lot of them are doing whatever HGH trend, fucking steroids. I don't care. That's none of my business. I don't care. I don't care about that. I do care about things like this. I do care about our culture. I care that working as a writer and as an artist is seen as someone to rob blind. People believe that writers and artists don't do any work. We're often accused of not doing any work because we love our work. But it is exhausting and it is work. And you appreciate it when it's good and you get pissed off when it's bad. A lot of you out there are fiction addicts. You need it as much as you need food and water. So I am calling on you white people to grab an oar and not just buy Ethan's books and to not buy Eric's books. I'm calling on you to get to work. Do your fucking part. Do your fair share. It's more than lift an oar at this point. I don't even know what to say that it is at this point. It's more than lift an oar. You ain't gonna vote your way out of this. I promise you that. Trump is not the answer. Yeah, you should vote. Yeah, you should pay your taxes. But you should go out there and pick fights with black people misbehaving in public. That's what you should do. You should go out there and when you find a Karen talking shit, record her and put it on the internet. Shame whores. Hawk Tua? No, that's not the way. This is not the way. As soon as someone disrespects you, pick a fight with them. That's what you should do. That's who you need to become. As soon as you're disrespected, make it clear that you will do violence to that person. That's who you need to be. And if you're in a relationship with someone who you feel is disrespecting you, or that you feel... I can't imagine that Chris was openly disrespecting his girlfriend on a regular basis, or wife, or whatever the situation was. I guess she had a child before they got together. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I just know that he got kicked off the Zero team because of some shit a girl said. This idea that girls will not lie because they're mad at you is absurd. The idea that they won't tell stories about you because they're mad at you is absurd. I remember hearing something, I'm looking back at this Wildwood Tarot card, attraction, and I remember hearing, if you cannot behave, I don't remember exactly how it's phrased. I believe it's from the Dharmapada or the I Ching. The I Ching doesn't necessarily have a book of sayings, so it would be some Lao Tzu or some Chinese book of Proverbs. If you can't be like a starving man at a feast, essentially not eating, if you can't be like a starving man fasting at a feast, you have no business having any dealings with women. And that's pretty true. Unless you can walk away from a woman, the Robert De Niro walk out on them in 30 seconds at any given amount of disrespect, you have no business dealing with them. With what they can do to your world today, with what they could take from you, with how they could destroy your life, every one of these boards is a 0. I'm 0 for life. And I only started skating. And this is strange times we're living in. I despise this culture. And I'm calling on all you white guys, any white guys listening to this, you need to be writing and either making music, writing your own story, helping someone else who does some kind of art. You need to find your art and quit leaving art to the faggots and the communists.